Hey everyone, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Ever get that, that feeling that someone you're close to is hiding something big?
Oh, yeah.
Not just like, oh, they forgot to pick up the dry cleaning, but like a serious, life-changing secret.
Right, right.
That's what we're going to dive into today.
Okay.
It's Daniel Hurst's psychological thriller, The Husband.
Ooh, interesting. I love how Hurst starts with, like, a totally normal family.
Yeah.
Like, in a regular town, and then he just twists it, to show, like, the dark side of people.
Totally. So we've got Lachlan and Jenny, right?
Yeah.
They live in Preston, have two teenagers, Bonnie and William.
Okay.
Seems pretty familiar, like family dinners, typical teenage drama, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But Hurst is sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
He drops these little hints that something's off, especially with Lachlan.
Oh, I see. Yeah, Lachlan's definitely a closed-off kind of guy.
Right.
Even with Jenny, he's emotionally distant. And the way he avoids talking about his childhood, it's, like, really obvious.
Remember when Jenny tries to get him to talk about it and he just shuts down completely?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's like he's got this wall around him.
Exactly.
And you just know there's something hidden back there.
And then, boom, the true crime documentary. Genius move.
Yeah.
It's like a crack in Lachlan's perfect facade.
It really shakes things up. So the documentary's about this unsolved murder, right?
Yep.
In a remote village in Scotland.
Yeah.
And guess what? That's where Lachlan grew up.
And his reaction, total over the top.
Right. Not just like, oh, that's sad kind of thing.
No way. He gets super agitated, almost panicky, refuses to go back to the village.
If I were Jenny, I'd be freaking out.
Seriously.
Hurst makes you start doubting Lachlan.
Yeah.
Is he just, dealing with bad memories? Or is there something darker going on?
And that's what makes the family trip to Scotland so, tense.
Totally.
It's supposed to be a nice bonding time before Bonnie goes off to college.
Yeah, makes sense.
But it feels like they're walking right into Lachlan's secrets.
Oh, that's good. As they get closer to Carnfield, the village where Lachlan's from, the tension just keeps building.
Right.
He's so resistant to going there. But it's clear that place has a hold on him.
It's like a ghost town haunting him,
Yeah, I get it. And then we get those flashbacks to Lachlan's childhood.
Right. Yeah.
And you start to understand why he's so messed up about Carnfield. His childhood was rough, tough relationship with his parents, this rivalry with a local boy, Angus. Not a good time.
It's like a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
Hurst slowly reveals Lachlan's true character through these flashbacks.
Totally. And we see how possessive he is, especially towards this girl, Paisley, the one who was murdered.
You start picking up on these red flags.
Yeah, yeah.
His jealousy, his temper, his need to be in control.
And you realize this seemingly normal husband and dad, he might be capable of something really bad.
And this is where Hurst is a master,
What do you mean?
The foreshadowing. There are these tiny hints, almost like throwaway lines, that take on a whole new meaning as you read. Like, remember when Lachlan flips out at William for breaking a fishing rod?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Seems like a small thing at the time.
Exactly.
But looking back, it's like, whoa, this guy's got a serious anger problem.
Right. You see that flash of rage, and it foreshadows the violence that's, simmering under the surface.
As the trip goes on, those glimpses into Lachlan's past get more intense.
Definitely.
And more disturbing.
We learn about his crush on Paisley, how much he resented Angus. And then there's this moment where he just snaps.
Uh-oh.
And this is where the story gets seriously creepy. Lachlan reveals his dark secret. Through these jumbled memories, we find out he killed Paisley in a fit of jealous rage.
Wow.
It changes everything, Suddenly we see him in this completely different light.
Totally. And what's so good is that it's not some random twist out of nowhere.
Right.
Hurst has been carefully setting it up, making us doubt Lachlan the whole time. So when the truth comes out, it's shocking, but also, inevitable.
It's like that feeling of dread you had the whole time.
Yeah.
Just solidifies.
Yeah.
And you can't help but think, how long has Lachlan been living with this? How has he pretended to be normal for all these years?
That's a great question, and that's exactly what we're going to dig into next.
Okay.
How does Lachlan's past trauma, affect his behavior now, and what's going to happen to him and his family as his carefully constructed world starts to fall apart?
Heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
You know what I find really interesting? Hurst doesn't just, drop that truth bomb about Paisley and move on.
Right.
He really digs into what it's like for a murderer to live a double life.
It's true. Lachlan isn't just some, one-dimensional bad guy.
Exactly.
He's really struggling, with the guilt, the paranoia, and obviously his dark side.
You can almost see him in your head, right? Trying to convince himself he's not a monster.
Yeah. But at the same time, you see those cracks in his facade, especially when he's with Jenny.
The more you learn about them as a couple,
Mm.
the more you realize their happy marriage was mostly in Jenny's head. Lachlan's emotionally unavailable, always has to control everything. Those were huge red flags.
And it makes you wonder, don't you think? Could we all be that blind to the truth about someone we love?
Absolutely. I think that's a big part of what Hurst is trying to get at.
Yeah.
It's scary because it's not just Jenny who's fooled. Lachlan's tricked everyone around him.
Yeah.
He's built up this whole image of being the perfect husband and dad.
He's wearing a mask, basically.
And it's only when they're stuck in Carnfield, forced to confront his past, that the mask starts to slip.
That car accident is such a turning point.
Oh, totally. It's like they're literally trapped in the place that holds all of Lachlan's secrets.
Right. The tension just keeps building from there.
Yeah.
Jenny starts getting suspicious and decides to do some investigating of her own.
I love how she goes from this passive wife to, like, an amateur detective.
Remember how she starts digging into the Paisley Hamilton case? Even though Lachlan's trying to stop her.
Oh, yeah, she's determined. It's like this, like a mother bear protecting her cubs kind of thing.
It's really fascinating how she puts it all together.
Tell me about it.
She looks at Lachlan's behavior, reads old news articles, talks to the locals.
She even goes to see Angus,
Oh, yeah.
the guy who still lives in Carnfield, the one everyone always suspected of killing Paisley.
That scene is intense. You can feel the tension between them.
Hurst is so good at building suspense. You're totally rooting for Jenny to find out the truth.
Right. But you also feel like she might be in over her head.
And the way Lachlan reacts to her questions is so telling. He could just be honest, but instead, he gets all controlling and manipulative.
He tries to make her think she's crazy, right?
Classic gaslighting. It shows how insidious domestic violence can be.
Lachlan isolates Jenny, makes her doubt herself, makes her feel like she's losing it.
But she's stronger than that. The more he tries to control her, the more she fights back.
It's like she finally sees him for who he really is, and she's done with his lies.
Honestly, her transformation is one of the best parts of the story.
I agree.
It shows that even when you've been betrayed in the worst way, you can still find the strength to stand up for yourself.
Which leads us to that incredible climax by the lock in the woods. The tension is almost unbearable.
The setting is so important in that scene, too.
Oh, absolutely.
The dark woods, the mist, the feeling of being completely alone. It all adds to the sense of dread.
It's like the landscape reflects what's going on inside the characters.
And then, boom, that confrontation between Jenny and Lachlan, the truth comes out, and it's explosive.
I was holding my breath reading that part.
Hurst doesn't hold back. Lachlan's rage, Jenny's desperation to protect her kids, the violence. It's also real and raw.
And just when you think you know how it's going to end,
Yeah.
Hurst throws in that amazing twist.
Oh, you mean with Angus?
Yes. Finding out he was involved in Lachlan's death changes everything.
It's so unexpected. We've been led to believe Lachlan is the only villain here, the one who needs to be stopped.
Exactly.
But then Angus steps in and takes things into his own hands.
It makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about them.
Was Angus trying to get revenge? Or was he trying to protect Jenny? It's hard to say.
Those are the questions that stick with you long after you finish the book.
And it shows how talented Hurst is. He creates these morally complex characters, making you think about the line between good and evil.
It's not a simple story, that's for sure.
And the ending is so thought-provoking. It leaves you thinking about the consequences of Lachlan's actions, how it affects his family, and how trauma can impact so many people.
It's a story that really gets under your skin, you know. It makes you examine your own relationships and the secrets we all keep. I gotta say, the setting of Carnfield really adds to the whole creepy vibe of the book.
Oh, totally. It's not just a background. It's like its own character, you know, all those secrets and lies soaking into the place.
Hurst describes it so well, too. Like, you can practically feel the mist and see those dark woods.
And the villagers, right, always watching, gossiping. They definitely know more than they're letting on.
Yeah, there's this weird feeling of shared guilt, like they all helped Lachlan keep his secret for so long.
It's like they've built this wall of silence. Easier to look away than deal with the darkness.
Which is something Hurst explores throughout the book, right?
Exactly. The dangers of denial. How hidden truths can eat away at you.
It makes you think about those times we ignore warning signs in our own lives, you know, in relationships, in our communities.
Sometimes it's easier to pretend everything's fine. But Jenny, she's different.
She's not afraid to dig for the truth, even when it's dangerous.
She breaks that silence, forces everyone to face what they've been ignoring.
And there's all this symbolism, too. Like the water.
Oh, yeah, the rain, the loch, the tears.
It's like a symbol of cleansing, letting go of all that pent-up emotion.
And the woods, right. They represent all those hidden secrets coming to light.
It's where Lachlan's crime happened, where Ginny finally confronts him. It's both a hiding place and a place where things are revealed.
Speaking of revealing, we should talk about Angus.
Yeah, he starts as a suspect, the troubled outsider. But then there's more to him than meets the eye.
He's definitely carrying a lot of guilt and pain. And his decision to get involved at the end, complicated.
Leads to Lachlan's death, raises questions about justice, what's right and wrong.
It's a gray area. He took a life, but maybe he saved Jenny and her kids from something worse.
Makes you wonder what you'd do in that situation.
That's the sign of a great thriller. It doesn't give you easy answers.
It leaves you thinking about those tough questions long after you close the book.
And that's what makes The Husband so powerful. It's about the dark side of humanity, the secrets we keep, the lengths we go to protect them.
But it's also about courage, about resilience, about finding redemption.
It shows that even when terrible things happen, we can still fight for the truth and find a way to heal.
Absolutely. So there you have it, our deep dive into The Husband. We've looked at the characters, the themes, the symbolism, all the stuff that makes this story so captivating.
We hope this has given you some new perspectives on the book and sparked some thoughts of your own.
As always, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of The Husband? What questions are you still pondering? Hit us up in the comments.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow book lovers. Until next time, happy reading.